I don't know what any of you in this room are doing usually on a Monday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning a.m., but I know what I have to do precisely that date and time. I must prepare myself to put the recycling bin out for collection, weekly collection. I must admit that the idea of recycling was very blurry to me before moving to London, and I shall explain in a few moments why. At a very simple level, recycling can be defined as the process of converting waste into recyclable materials. Recyclable materials include glass, paper, plastic, electronics, textiles. Also, electronics are being known as brown goods and white goods. White goods referring to fridges or washing machines or anything else in the kitchen, whereas brown goods refers mainly to TV sets and radio sets and so on and so forth. Although similar in effect, the composting or other reuse of biodegradable waste, such as food or garden waste, is not typically considered recycling. Materials normally that are to be recycled are taken to collection centers or are being picked up by the famous people from the council that do take my recycle bin from the curbside every Monday morning, 6 a.m. I think I have mentioned that already. It's almost automatic when we think about recycling nowadays, but contrary to popular belief, recycling has a longer history. Some people say it originates from as early as 400 BC. In times of war, the people were melting coins and jewels in order to transform it into weapons. Throughout centuries, the idea of reusing scrap metal has had its highs and lows. For example, during the Industrial Revolution, when it became easier and cheaper to produce goods, people did not think much about recycling, and it was not a very popular term. Still, things picked up during the Second World War when rationing came into being used, and that meant that financial constraints forced people into using reusing goods because they had no alternative. My speech today revolves around the facts that recycling is perceived and used in a manner that it's different nowadays, and I will also talk about the factors that influence it. The statistics in relation to recycling are pretty confusing. However, from a bird's eye view, I tend to identify three main trends. One, countries that do not have facilities in relation to recycling. Countries whose recycling rates are very low. And thirdly, countries whose recycling rates are high. The first category is dominated by countries from Africa, Pakistan and Yemen being the only two ones that are from outside the African continent. And they do not have any recycling facilities whatsoever. The explanation is a simple one: poverty. These countries such as Angola, Benin, Burundi, Burkina Faso do not have enough funds to build recycling facilities. The result is that the waste is being dumped into landfills and rivers, thus spreading diseases easily. The interesting fact is that although recycling is not seen as such, due to abject poverty, the waste dumps are scoured by people who look for anything that can be used for reselling. thus recycling in a way. The second category brings me back to the beginning of my speech, when I did confess and admit that I did admit my lack of knowledge when it came to recycling. Well, I'm Romanian, and according to a 2012 survey led by the European Commission, Romania holds the worst position in recycling in Europe. Again, just 1% of the waste is recycled in Romania. The rest of it is being dumped into landfills and rivers, just like in the poor African countries. Other countries that are low, have a low recycling rate are Greece, 10%, Cyprus, 9%, Bulgaria, 5%, and we talk about Romania. These statistics are explained by two main factors. Some of these countries are not so far advanced, and others meet opposition from their citizens in adopting a greener route. We finally reached the third category, and as I always do, I save the best for last. Not everything is doom and gloom. Europe also has the countries with the highest rates of recycling in the world. The champion, in our case, is Switzerland with 52%. Austria follows closely with 49.7%. Germany, 48%, Netherlands, 46%, Norway, 40%, USA, 31.5%. It's easy to spot a pattern. The keenest and most avid recyclers in Europe belong to rich, advanced countries that have a high living standard and a high level of education. So, we've gone through numbers and facts and data, but how does the future look for recycling? As with anything, it is pretty unpredictable, and it actually depends on political and historical changes. One thing that drew my attention during my research was a new term that I have identified, and it's linked to recycling: pre-cycling. Pre-cycling is a practice of reducing waste by trying to avoid using materials that would produce waste into homes and businesses. I think pre-cycling is the way forward. I know it's a bit of a philosophical approach, and it involves us reflecting more upon choosing the materials that we use in order to produce objects. Only time would tell if I was right. Thank you.